Hello everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. So, last Pantera review, pretty blasé, kind of boring. That's how I felt about the album. This time around, we are talking about Vulgar Display of Power, the album that blew up Pantera. Technically the album that made Pantera a household name was Far Beyond Driven, but I knew Pantera. I knew this album before Far Beyond Driven dropped. Everybody I knew had Vulgar Display of Power and Cowboys from Hell before. Well, not everybody I knew. Okay, at least one guy in the group had either Vulgar Display of Power and one guy had like Cowboys from Hell. But there was like four of us always in the same car. So this review is going to go out to Eric Boblik, Peter Varga, Jay Robson. Four of us always were in the same Ford frickin' Tempo, this beige-ass Ford Tempo, cruising around everywhere with the metal blasting. This album was blasted left, right, and center to the point where I actually stopped caring about Pantera. Didn't want to hear Pantera anymore. And my dear apologies for that heavy, crushing metal noise you may be hearing in the background. It's recycling day, and of course it shows up as I'm doing this review, and I'm too stubborn to stop and start again afterwards. So let's get into this album and ignore what's going on outside behind me if you can. Alright, so the album opens up with Mouth for War. This kicks off the album perfectly, and it lets you know exactly what you're in for. I've talked about Mouth for War briefly before. It's a good tune. I don't mind it. Just a little more angry than I'm looking for. Not my type of anger. And the reason why I specify my type of anger is this is going to come up again later on down the line. Then you get to New Level. A New Level is, to me, basically more or less the same as what we just got from Mouth for War. Then you hit Walk. I'm sorry, man, but I don't care who you are. I don't care what type of metal you are into. I don't care what type of, hard rock or whatever. Like, if you are anywhere in the realm of somewhere that might be playing this song, man, this song comes on, you just, the big angry slow bang. Yeah, man. You're walking, man. You walk with purpose, man. You let that ground know it's quaking beneath your feet. Yeah, that's Walk, man. Oof, big, thick, fat, heavy riffing. You know what I'm saying, man? Ooh. Oof. Walk is honestly one of the reasons I truly do love Pantera. So I could keep going on about Walk. We're going to move on to the next song, Fucking Hostile. This is once again me talking about I was never angry enough for this one. With this particular song, it's actually Phil's vocals and Vinny's drums that put me off on this one. I don't particularly care for the style of drumming in which Vinny's using on this one. I'll be honest, out of all of Pantera's albums, like actual studio albums, this might be the only Pantera album where I would ever really go out of my way to complain about or mention, I'm not enjoying Vinny's drumming. Usually I tend to enjoy his drumming a little more. This album, it seemed like it was drumming by the numbers, kind of, on a lot of the songs. And that is a bit of a shame. Vinny was a great down the center drummer kind of thing. I wouldn't put him on my top list. I wouldn't put him on any type of bad list. I wouldn't put him on an overrated list. If you're talking to a Pantera fan, they're going to overrate Vinny Paul, but they're a Pantera fan. As an actual drumming fan, he did his job, and he did it well. It just so happens that on this particular album, I don't like the style in which he's playing most often. I'm not big on the I want to say blast beats. I don't know if I'm quite right on that terminology on that one. I'm just not a fan of it. It's a style I don't use myself as a drummer. That's, Okay, rambling. You take this love. Okay. So, when it comes to breakups, I'm not into mushy songs, okay? I don't, oh, baby, I've never felt this way. I miss you. You're hurting me. Come back, baby. Come back. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some kind of ballad-esque baby songs. I mean, ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. That's cute. It's not really a ballad per se, though. So I'm not a big. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Alice Cooper's "Might as Well Be on Mars" might be one of the few exceptions of that kind of heartbreak ballad that I'm okay with. You Take This Love is the type of heartbreak song that is right up there with Type O Negative's "Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity," where you have a cathartic release of all the hatred. When you go through those steps of healing after an intense breakup. You Take This Love is anger step, the right anger step, man. You take this love, you take this love, love, love. You take this love, love, love. You take this love. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, it's just cathartic release. Sorry, I had to get that point out, man. So, You Take This Love, man, always gonna have a spot there, man. Whew, that one definitely helped out a couple times. All right, after that, we go into Rise. Here you got a song really fast and furious. And when it goes through the verses, it really actually reminds me a lot of Helmets Unsung. But since both songs were both released in the same year, because I double checked on this while I was doing this, so I was kind of really thrown off when I was really paying attention. They're both released in '92. So, what are you going to do there, right? And I'm going to say it was just kind of a happy coincidence, because it's one of those riffs. It's just, let's face it, in the world of rock and metal and everything, there are only so many notes, and you're going to accidentally stumble upon the same riff as somebody else. It is going to happen. End of story. I've personally run into it myself. I've talked about this story with Maggot Brain from Funkadelic. I wrote, along with my buddy Matt, when I was in high school, we wrote a song called "Come and Hang Yourself." The melody, if you listen to, I wish I had a copy of "Come and Hang Yourself," because that compared to Maggot Brain, man, you would have thought that I had heard Maggot Brain at that point, and I hadn't. It was like a decade and a half later before I heard it the first time. To this day, it's still one of those, yes, I do believe bands can coincidentally just write the same riffs. It happens. Okay, moving on. I do want to mention, though, I don't like Dimebag's solo. This is one of the few times I'll ever mention I'm not a fan of Dimebag's Daryl's solo in this song. Every Pantera song, I'm usually really cool with the solo. It works in the song or not. This one, it just really felt like it was just kind of slammed in there. Just kind of like forcing it, just not right. All right, then you got No Good, Attack the Radical. This one I dig lyrically, and I think it's just as relevant today as it was like 31 years ago. And that is specifically looking at a lot of historical stuff that's happened. In this case, this was pertaining to the U.S. division between the blacks and the whites. And the idea behind the lyrics is, as long as you keep holding on to the past, we're never going to be able to come together as a country. And it's become a bigger and bigger issue now because of how much more it's come out now. And I don't usually like to talk about this stuff. But the fact that this was something that was being brought up 31 years ago, and this is something that's still being brought up now, that, we no one can change the past. We can't change 400 years ago, okay? We can't change, no one can change what happened during World War II, okay? You can't change the fact that the U.S. dropped nukes on Japan. You can't change the fact that Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. You can't change the fact that there was a Holocaust. You know, like, you can't change this stuff. But there is a point where you really kind of need to move away from it, because there are stuff like that that is still going on now. And we need to focus on that now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it is important to remember the stuff that has happened, okay? But, and because this is coming out, might be the very end of Pride Month. Yeah, the very last video that'll come out during Pride. Going with that, it's great that you don't want to forget things like the Stonewall incident, okay? But on the flip side of that, when it comes to North America, LGBT had it pretty good for the last 10 years. Can we focus on the countries where the LGBT have it very bad now? That's what I'm trying to say, like, I don't believe that we should be dictating how other countries should run themselves, but there are other countries where the LGBT are treated in a way that is absolutely horrible and disgusting, like where they're flat out, killed, unalived. I already ruined it by saying the other one, but all right. Sorry. This is what I'm trying to say is North America is predominantly the U.S., but North America as a whole really having a hard time healing from past wounds. And we need to get past those wounds united so we can help other people who are still being wounded. I hope that clarifies everything I'm saying. Okay, let's move on back to this. This is why I don't like to get political on these. I'm really sorry, guys. Okay, then we got, where were we at? We were at No Good the Radical. Okay, Live in a Hole. This one has such a natural flow to it. Like, just when I'm going through, got the album going, I don't even realize when I go from No Good, Attack the Radical into Live in a Hole. It really just has a great flow one into the other, and even kind of lyrical content kind of has a kind of great kind of flow to it as well. It works for me, so I'm cool with that. Regular People, Conceit. Now, at this point, I kind of feel like the album's kind of dragging on a little bit. It's kind of feeling a little repetitive to me. I'm not as into it as I could or should be. But the next song, By Demons Be Driven, I'm pulled back in a little bit, This one's not bad. Not bad is the key word. It could be better. This is one of those ones where I go back to, unfortunately, Vinny's drumming is not as good here as it could be. This should be a real banging song with a real kind of swinging ass groove to it on the drums. Not a huge ass groove, but it's too straight ahead. It's too basic 4/4. It's missing just that slight little swing into the way you're hitting, that Vinny's hitting the notes on it. And it's just missing that slight groove it needs to make this go from a cool or an okay song to a damn, this could have been a mighty fine song. And then the album finishes out with Hollow, and this should not have been left as the last song. I think this song could have broken up the album a little bit better. As cliche as it almost would have been, I almost feel like this album was really pushed really heavy when they produced it at the front half of the album. That's where most of this album is on the front half of the album. The back half of the album is kind of where a little bit kind of a letdown to me kind of feels like it's coming from. And I want to say that Hollow should have been pushed to the front half of the album. And By Demons Be Driven should have been pushed to the first half of the album as well. And then I think Walk and This Love should have been put on the back half of the album. Just look, not this is not measuring times. This is just going song for song, okay? I think that might have helped the album with a little bit more of a flow and broke it up a little bit so it's not as burr the whole time. Like, really putting Walk and This Love on, like, even I'm doing the same thing on the second half. I'm putting Walk and This Love together still. And because those two songs are so different from most of the rest of the album, they really should be split up a little bit. So it's a complicated feat here, I think, to try and get the mix just right on this album. I think that's the problem the whole way around. That being said, though, should you own this album? Yes. I think this is a fantastic album. I do really believe that all the praise that it gets is warranted for a first major album from a band. Let's be clear. Not Pantera's first album, but we're going to say the true classic Pantera's first album. I believe there may have been one more album before this one that had the classic lineup on it. I don't remember. I'm going to bring that up on the screen here as I roll into the end with the whole thing about, leave me a comment and let me know what you think, okay? Because I'm going to be done talking about this here. I've talked enough. All right, folks. I would appreciate if you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the little bell for notifications. As you're going down to the comment section, in the descriptions, you will see there is a link to Patreon. You can throw me some money there. Project Zero Outer Prototype music is available there as well, so you can check that out. If you're watching this on Rumble, thank you very much. I have seen that Rumble is definitely working out for me with some viewership that way. I believe I'm going to have to do some exclusive content for Rumble soon. Peace, love, take care.